And how this is going to work today is the congressman is going to lead us in the pledge, and following that, he is going to give an opening statement, just some brief remarks about what's going on in Washington, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. Everyone got a red ticket on their way in, right?
Woohoo!
Okay, so I'm going to randomly draw numbers, kind of like bingo or a raffle, and so we'll have some fun with it. And when your number is called, that's you can ask a question. And you can then come up to the mic. We'll shepherd the mics as best we can. They're corded, so they have limited reach. But then you have 45 seconds to ask your question. We want to try to get to as many questions as possible, so try to keep it to a question, not a statement. There are tons of cameras in this room, so don't say anything that your mother wouldn't be proud of. And we'll just have some fun. We'll be very candid and polite, and I hope that we get to as many questions as possible. The congressman, in turn, has 2 minutes, and please silence your cell phones. Even though I'm sure some of you have some very interesting and fun ringtones. But the congressman, after your 45-second question, he will have 2 minutes and 30 seconds to answer your question. So just like you are held to a time limit, the congressman is held to a time limit. And so with that, I'm going to ask everyone to please stand with me so we can.
Can you hold the phone? Or you do it?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. If I can get a show of hands, how many veterans in here, spouses of veterans, are here today? Thank you. I thank you. I thank the spouses. I thank the family, because we would not have the liberties and freedoms that we have in this nation without the service of veterans. So thank you. I am Yoho. I've served going into my third term. How many people have never been to one of our town halls? It's your first time seeing them. You know, and I said this in the last town hall. This election, I applaud because it's gotten people out and engaged more, and that's what it's going to take to continue our constitutional free republic. Is an informed electorate, an engaged electorate, and I commend you for being involved in this. And I realize we have different political opinions and feelings, and I'm here to hear what you have to say. You're going to hear some of my stances. I know some people aren't going to like where I stand on things, and that's okay. You know, that's what makes our country great. We wanted to have a PowerPoint presentation just on our budget. We can't get it up working the way I understand it. Okay. But briefly, if you do a pie chart, and this is probably just as deep as I'll get into the budget and things like that, there are two forms of spending our country does. It's mandatory spending and discretionary. Mandatory spendings are things like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, retirement programs for military, federal employees, nutritional programs, which is 80% of the Farm Bill. The Farm Bill is about $120 billion a year for 5 years. 80% of that is nutritional programs. 20% are farm programs. And then there's $88 million in mandatory spending to save wild horses out west, which really costs us over $1 billion. And I throw that in there because I'm thinking, how did $88 million get deemed to be mandatory spending when we have people that veterans can't get service, or elderly people, or people can't get food, like Meals on Wheels and things. So there's some things that have to change. On the discretionary side, it's military, and pretty much everything else that runs government: schools, Department of Justice, Department of Labor, Health and Human Services. So that's on your discretionary side. In 1964, the mandatory side was 32% of what we spent as a nation. 68% was discretionary. Discretionary is the money you have at the end of the month. That's your fun money. That's stuff you invest with and trips. We were cash rich back then. Today, that's flipped. 68%, no, actually the new number is 69% of the money we spend as a nation is off limits. We don't have a discussion on that in Congress. When you hear budget like in Congress, it's on the discretionary side. That now is 31% of our spending. Mandatory is 69%. I bring this up because in 5 to 10 years with our growth in mandatory spending, there's 10,000 people like me retiring a day. I'm 62 in April this month. There's 10,000 of us retiring a day. So the growth curve on mandatory side for Social Security and Medicare benefits are going up. Right now, we spend approximately, the estimate is $1.17 trillion on discretionary. Half of that, roughly $600 billion, is military. The other half runs government. This is the kicker. This is something I want everybody to think about. In 5 to 6 years at current interest rates, the interest on our nation's debt, in 5 to 6 years at current interest rates, the interest on our debt will equal what we're spending on our military. I want that to sink in because half the money we have discretionary now, military, the other half runs our government. But I'm being told in 5 to 6 years, what we're spending just on the interest on our debt is going to consume the other half of government. There is nothing to run schools and all these things on. We've got a crisis on our hands that this generation, this nation has never seen before. These are the arguments or the discussions we need to have, and I can tell you they're finally waking up there. Does anybody remember Alan Bowles and Simpson, the super committee back in the when President Obama first took over? They commissioned a super committee. This was the stuff they revealed back then, but yet it hasn't been dealt with. We have to deal with this. And I was on an interview with Wolf Blitzer, and we kind of talked about this, and he says, but the president doesn't want to deal with mandatory spending. He said it's off the table. And he goes, but you sound like you disagree with that. I said, I disagree with that 100%. It's not a question if a person wants to deal with mandatory spending or not. You either deal with it and be proactive, or you wait and it deals with you in a reactionary crisis management. I don't want to wait until it's a crisis so we have crisis management. So that's the discussion that I hope you all take home and you think about. And you hold people in office accountable. You know, when we have those spikes up there, I look at the last 2 years in the appropriations. That's the process Congress goes through to decide how to spend the money. It goes through the appropriation process. It got held up last year on an LGBT issue. The year before, got hung up on a Confederate flag issue. Just stopped it. So Congress didn't finish their job. And I'm not saying those aren't important issues, but should they be tied into funding your government to where we don't do what we're supposed to do up there? And those things, I think they should have their debate. They should be debated and talked about to where we come together to solve those issues. But we better get our work together to solve these things. We were at our conference, the Republican conference in January. I got a piece of paper, got handed to us, and it said that in 12 years, Social Security is going to have a mandatory cut in any recipient of 25%. They're handing me this. I'm thinking, is anybody else reading this? I'm a little scared about this. And I'm 62. I don't want that. And if you want to see where we're heading, look at Puerto Rico, look at Greece, Portugal, Spain. People say that can't happen here. I'm telling you, it's set up to happen if we don't address it. So now, with that, I'm going to open this up, and I know there's going to be questions about Syria, healthcare, tax reform, investigations, and so I'm going to turn this over to you. I've said all I need to say at this point. We'll go from here.
All right. Thank you, Congressman. So everyone get your red tickets out. Like I said, we might make this a little bit fun. It's like a drawing. You can laugh. It's okay. It's okay. All right. 5082. Who is our first person up? Really?
I'm not coming up there, though.
I don't blame you.
All right.
There's a, if you don't.
Or not, the narrative is out there, and that's what your customers, I don't look at you as constituents, I look at you as customers. That's what the customer base is telling us, and that's what I've experienced, and we were told that in our office. If we call, they told us, I want you to understand how this happens. We pull your file, we'll look at it, but we put it in the very back and it starts over again. It's unacceptable. We went down to the regional center in St. Pete, and we talked about this very issue about why should a backlog take 2, 3, 5, 7 years, 9 years in your case. I said, if I, in private practice, I would be out of business. And the only reason you guys can do that is because you're the government. It needs to change, and there are slow changes happening in there. They're not going fast enough, but if you guys know any veteran that's having that problem, I'm gonna tell you to still call our office, because we've got a direct line to them, and we rattle their cages to the point to
But
where.
it hasn't helped.
When was the last time you talked to our office?
Dave, about a month ago.
I'll talk to Dave, get her name and number, and
I got it.
it just irritates me that we even have to call, but we've had some great results. Our office, not me, our office has returned over $5 million to the veteran community, and it's not like we want them anything, it's their money. Give them their darn money.
Well, my situation is probably different, but I'm also representing a lot of the other Navy veterans that since my husband died, 4 from his ship have now died.
Was it from the blue water?
No, it's from the asbestos in their lungs.
Okay.
So 4 of the
Don't
same.
give up on that, we have to get this
I
thing
know,
fixed.
but I was told from Washington, calling the VA, a lot of people are retiring. And you think it's hard to get through now? Just wait, because they're not replacing all these people.
Well, the money is there for them to replace it, and that's something we have to go on, and I will.
I know, okay, so, no, you're fine, and don't worry, I'm gonna be talking to you afterwards.
I'll be
For the
happy to
next-
sit down with you at a future date.
For the next question, we're going to go 5113. Gentleman in the back.
Yes, sir.
Super loud,
Go Gators.
please.
First of all, I want to thank you for holding this event this afternoon. As a precursor to my question, I was one of the 3,000 people that contacted you in opposition to the new healthcare act.
You live in the district.
I do, yes. I sent you a message, and I have a question on your reply back to me.
Mm-hmm.
You said that the AHTA would still allow for pre-existing conditions, and it seemed like you were in favor of this. Is that true?
Yes. I mean, that's something we get everybody on the Republican and Democrat side wants pre-existing conditions covered, and so our goal is to make sure that's covered. I understand that.
Okay. The follow-up to that question is, because from my knowledge, this provision that's left over from Obamacare is one of the major factors that's leading to the failure of the ACA. If I think about fire insurance, I can't buy fire insurance after my house burns down. The insurance company would laugh at me. If we allow people to wait until they have some health issue to buy insurance, insurance companies can't stay in business. Then the only thing that's left is government-sponsored health care that's paid for by the government or the taxpayers.
All right. And number one, I appreciate you calling in and being engaged in that. We heard from a lot of folks. My stance is the same as it was when I ran. I ran to 100% repeal the Affordable Care Act. It still doesn't do that. You know, the Democrats ran that through. No Republican support. The Republicans are doing the same thing on what we're doing. And I think the best thing for our nation, not for a political party, is to get rid of it and bring people to the table to fix this and put people in a room. And I've suggested this to our leadership. In fact, I wanted to stay there this weekend, and no recess until we fix this. This is too important not to just to let it collapse on its own. And some people say, just let it fail. Let people really hurt. I'm like, you can't do that. So the idea is they've got a bill on there that I will compromise, possibly. I haven't seen the final language. We just got called by somebody about this, and I said, well, send me the information where I can read it so that we can weigh in on it.
So, again,
We've
I'm sorry,
invited the
I'm sorry, guys.
Democrats.
I
Go
hate
ahead.
to be a stickler. I'm gonna really try to stay on everybody about staying in order here. So next question is gonna go to 5117.
Good afternoon, sir.
Howdy.
My name's Doug Bash. I'm a retired judge. I put 311 people in jail for marijuana. And I was diagnosed with a terminal disease. But my wife did research and found out cannabis oil from school. We're very blessed. We have a ranch in Colorado. It's probably the worst part of Marion County. So I've been cured from incurable disease. What is your stance on the ability to keep me from having to violate federal law to save my life?
Decriminalize marijuana at a federal level, let each state decide on it, and let the voters of that state decide on it. But I don't like the word medical marijuana tied into passing legislation. Decriminalize it at a federal level, And we could talk hours on why my stance is the way it is. One of them is if you call it medical marijuana, say you came to me with glaucoma, we know THC lowers the intraocular pressure, the IOP. We know that, but there's not a standardized drug out there, and I don't know how to tell you to buy what product, how many, whatever you do, you know, if you put it in a vapor thing or smoke it. I don't know how much to tell you, how frequently, because it's not a standardized. It tells you that X amount of milligrams per puff. And if you were to come to me with your lawyer after you went blind because I told you to do this to get your intraocular pressure controlled, and the lawyer says to me, did you prescribe this product? Yes, sir. What was the directions and what was the milligrams strength of that? I said, I don't know. So to have the guise of medical marijuana, that's why I say decriminalize it at a federal level. Let you decide the level that works with you in conjunction with your doctor. And I can go on and on and on about other things, insurance regulations, and so. We are. We've signed on to their bill. But there's so many other issues on this. You know, one of the things is military. We were on an aircraft carrier and I talked to the admiral. We started talking about drug policy. He goes, 0 tolerance. I'm over.
No, you have 30 seconds left.
0 tolerance. I said, what if somebody goes to Colorado or a state where it's legal? He goes, 0 tolerance. So those things have to be worked out. And the way it is right now, it's illegal at the federal level. If Colorado does it, that cash can't be deposited because it's going into an FDIC account, federally insured deposit account. And so those laws have to be changed at a federal level and let the states do it. And we'll work with that.
Right on time. Good job, everybody. All right, next is 5109. And just a disclaimer, if you have a question, please come see Ms. Jessica here with the microphone. There are folks in the back who cannot hear, so we need to use the microphones. I would appreciate everybody's cooperation. So 5109.
5109.
Come up to the microphone, ma'am.
Actually, can you hear me? Can you hear me
I can.
out there? Everybody
Good
can
lady
hear
in
me?
the back.
Okay.
Yeah, and on deck behind this lady is going to be 5129. So 5129, you'll be next.
Okay.
All right, you want to start making your way down.
Okay, well, I want to address this man up here, so come
Yes,
on up
ma'am.
here. That's right. I'm Dr. Julie Felton. I'm an independent voter. I'm the spouse of a retired Marine. So, I'm Julie Felter. I'm the wife of a retired Marine, and I'm here to address some of the Department of Defense issues.
Yes, ma'am.
Incidentally, that was the Government Performance and Results Act in 1992, Al Gore, on how to improve America and the government, and they did it. It was a zero debt when Clinton left office. So all these decisions that we talk about,
In conjunction with the Republican-controlled House, right?
well,
That's bipartisanship.
what was it, Contracts America?
Yes, ma'am.
Newt Gingrich, the whole thing. But here's what I'm concerned about. There's a 10% increase on military spending. The intent is to keep America safe, citizenry, warriors, values. And yet you come along and at the same time, same intent, say we're going to drastically cut 16% of EPA. You look at energy,
Ma'am.
all of those. I'm not finished.
I know.
I'm not finished. You may use some time coming up. But the key thing is, how does that correlate? If we destroy these cabinet positions that are intent on keeping us safe in the present, in the future, what happens to us then? Is that a viable pathway for the future?
Well, keep in mind, and hopefully we can get this pie chart up. Thank you and your husband and your family for the service in this country.
Right.
We were at a budget meeting the other day, and they were going to cut another $61 billion out of discretionary spending. That's what they were telling me. And I said, well, wait a minute. How much money has been cut out of discretionary since 2006 or 2009? The numbers between 200 The $400 billion has already been cut out of discretionary spending. Can y'all see these? It will be. I'll come back to, thank you for getting that running there. It'll be easier for me to explain that. Again, keep in mind the spending situation of this country. Keep in mind also the number one task of the federal government is to provide for the common defense of our nation. We have to have a certain amount of money in the military so our jets can fly, so our Marines can have the time to fly the jets, or the Navy pilots, or whatever other branch they can. Right now, they're not allowed to fly the hours they need to stay certified. The other thing is they're cannibalizing 2 and 3 aircraft to get one running. You know, the seals on the cockpits, trading out wings. We've been over to NAS Jacks. They've got a lot of planes sitting there with one wing or no wings. And you ask them what's wrong with these, they say, well, we're waiting on spare parts, we don't have the parts. So they're taking them off to make that run. So we've got to keep that in mind.
Okay.
I agree. It's something that's happened over the last 50 years. It wasn't President Obama, it wasn't President Bush, it wasn't President Clinton. It was a benign neglect that's caused this. And if you look at this, I mean, the numbers, they speak. This is 65. This is where we're at today. These numbers changed, 69, 31. This is where we're going. This is happening in America. This is happening to your children, to your grandchildren, to the next generation. It's immoral for us. And when I first came to Congress, I remember hearing this eloquent speech by Mr. Baker saying, we've got to get our debt under control. It's immoral for us not to do this, to pass it on to the back to the next generation. I happen to take that very seriously and for what it means. And so that's why we made some hard stands up there. And we got asked in the last time about shutting the government down. I don't know anybody in Congress that wants to shut the government down. If I were to ask you who shut the government down, everybody say, oh, the Republicans did. We passed 4 pieces of legislation that got sent over to Harry Reid. Harry Reid did not pick up one of them for a discussion, a debate, or a vote. It shut down by default. We don't want that to happen.
Okay, so Congressman, you're over your time on this one, so we're going to go to the next question.
It got shut down by default because people weren't mature enough to have the discussion. You're shaking your head. No, that's the way it happened.
All right, so we got this gentleman up next, and on deck we're going to have 5112. So 5112, if you want to come down to the front row.
First, I want to thank you for saving Planned Parenthood and Obamacare. Secondly, I have friends who were administrators in the VA, and they tell me that what really has been happening, and 5 years ago, you ought to believe me, or not believe me, that the Office of Management budget tells the VA, you're getting this amount of money. This is the percent of the national budget that you can have, and if you ask for more, you're getting less. Go there and smile and say, Congressman, I've got all the money I need, and they know it's a lie because the OMB controls it.
I think there's a lot of truth to that. You know, I think there's a lot of those kind of political games that go on there. People are on power trips. And again, when I left that budget meeting the other day, I says, I think we ought to cancel the recesses until we get this done. I says, I don't want to offend you guys that are in this meeting. I couldn't run my veterinary practice the way you guys are running this. And I said, I only had 30 employees. So there is a lot of that stuff that has to be dealt with, and OMB should not be telling any department, agency, especially the military, how to conduct their business. Those discussions should be had by the person that's in charge of that, and that person should be the person held accountable. So thank you, and I appreciate your service.
All right, next, and hold on, before you ask your question, on deck, we're going to have 5120.
All right, first, thank you for at least having a town hall meeting. I do appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
The bottom line for me is what happened yesterday. I'm really upset with the changing, invoking the nuclear clause or whatever. And it has nothing to do with whether or not I supported the nominee. What is bothering me and what I'm asking you as my representative, are you so entrenched in being your party that you're not open? That's what's bothering me. Everything is black and white. Democrat, boo. Republican, boo. As just a peon, I just want to do what's right and make decisions. Planned Parenthood. It's a good example. If they're anti-abortion, fine. I just want to know how are you going to do what's right and not party?
Thank you. And don't ever act like you, or feel like you're a peon. I mean, nobody is that. If I don't know how closely you followed my stint in Congress, I've told this and I've said this over again. I don't serve a party. I serve a nation. I serve the constituents that sent me up there, the ones I represent. Should be, supported through either local, through trade unions, through industry, building industry, bricklayers, things like that. I worked construction all the way through college as I worked on farms too. And I think there's a lot of value to be learned in that. I support that tremendously, and anything we can do, we'll continue to do on that. But you brought up something about the expense that we're spending on education. The Department of Education, Ronald Reagan wanted to get rid of it. Somebody encouraged him that we can reform it. And we've got one of the largest bureaucracies in the federal government is the Department of Education, one of the largest budgets. And we're spending 2 to 2.5 times more per student, yet our PISA scores, which is the scores that they rank countries, reading, math, and science, are going down. That's where I've made such a strong stance on the Affordable Care Act. If you don't get rid of it 100%, it's going to be a bloated bureaucracy that you were just bringing up about the challenges with the VA. I know our VA, a lot of people really like it and they do great things, but when you have a problem, it's a problem. And I just think that's the wrong way to go. And so I appreciate your question.
All right, and now we're going to go to our next question, and on deck it's going to be 5114.
Hi, my name is Carolyn Torrey. I appreciate you opening up your town meeting for constituents as well as people.
Sure.
I've approached your office when you were in Ocala several times to get meetings, and they never scheduled one.
In the Ocala area?
Yes.
We don't have an office there. Ours will be open.
You used to have it.
I did not. That was the Rich Nugent before me and Mr. Stearns before that.
Okay.
Ours is trying to open, but going back to the bureaucracy, we applied to have the computers and the furniture and all that delivered in January when we got sworn in. We're still waiting on that. They said, well, it's going to take a while. I mean, that's the inefficiency of government bureaucracy, so we're anxiously opening that.
Okay. I appreciate you addressing the Department of Education, because that's pretty big, and the healthcare issues, because those are 2 areas I want that are affecting me personally. My child was victimized in child abuse in the school district here because the superintendent of schools was making an all-white schools for his grandchildren. I won that in OCR. It took me 7 years. They punished my children. They did every nasty thing in the world. Your OCR, it taken 7 years to come up with findings. My son.
Explain what an OCR is. That Office of Congressional Review?
No, Office of Civil Rights.
Okay.
I filed a federal complaint for the minorities because this school district for 28 years was in a fight with the Department of Justice about unequal access, and they were violating it, the very thing. They attacked me because I fought them re-violating this thing, and my son was hurt. My son was hurt because they put him in a gym at 107.7 degrees and heat stroked him, causing permanent injuries to his heart rate.
Hold on. So I don't know if this was already stated, but we have 30 seconds. She's keeping time. But 45. Okay, 45. But we need a clear, concise question.
How do I get in contact with the Department of Education for the violations that have been done in excess of $1 million of funds and attacking a parent?
I would contact our office and let them start something as far as we got to start a case file, and then we can get you in contact. I would get a hold of the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions. I look around here, and I see a lot of people that grew up without a Department of Education, right? Came in existence in 1979. I see a lot of people that went through the same era. I was born in 1955. We went through the civil rights struggles of this country. Does anybody want to go back to that? I grew up in South Florida. I was born in Minnesota, and they had colored drinking fountains. They had color entrances in the late 60s, early 70s. That was here in Florida. I don't ever want to go through that. I saw the ugliness of that. We went through the race riots at school. I was involved in those. I experienced that. I never want to see that for my kids or for future generations. And that's something that's not Republican, that's not Democrat, that's racism. If what you're going through, if you're going through that, that's racism, and it needs to be called out for what it is and dealt with. And those people need to suffer the consequences that are doing that.
Yes, I live in both Marion County and Alachua County, so kind of go back and forth. But I'm a pediatric nurse practitioner, so healthcare is really important to me, and especially the health of children. I understand that the Freedom Caucus has pulled out certain things that were deemed essential as part of the Affordable Health Care Act, including maternity care, care of the unborn child, and care of the newborn. And that has me real concerned because you got to take care of the mom, you got to take care of the unborn baby, you got to take care of the newborn. And these are essential, and I've seen where insurance companies let people pay their premiums, but then don't give them anything back. And I think they have to be held accountable and say some things are essential, and I wanted your feedback on that.
No, absolutely. I agree 100% with you. I just talked to a good friend of mine with his heart surgeon at Shands. He's not there anymore. He's transferred. He goes, don't let anybody tell you that nobody had health care before. There was access to health care for everybody in America. And well, there's a difference. Well, we're well aware when people come in and they come to the ER, it's the most expensive form. And I was talking to Rand Paul the other day because the new proposal, they wanted to put $15 billion into the, oh heck, I can't remember this fund. Yeah, the high-risk pool, thank you. And he goes, I can't support that. And I says, I can't either, because what we're doing is what you just said. We're giving money to the insurance companies that'll kind of do something, for health care. I want to get that money into health care, not health insurance.
Things that are essential. Whoever provides health insurance, there are some things that are essential.
I think all health care is essential, but again, it goes into fundamental beliefs of where I stand, who should provide health care. There's a group of people who think government should provide this. I'm on that side that says it should be personal responsibility for the people that can. And we've got Medicare, Medicaid, the VA for the people that serve this country in the VA, Medicare for people that have paid in all their life, Medicaid for the people that can't afford health insurance. We can do better than what we're doing. And if you look at the health results, since the Affordable Care Act, and there's been this influx of people onto the Medicaid system, there's been over 80,000 more deaths. And so you know the situation, and this guy's wife is a nurse, or no, she's a pediatric physician, and she works at the no-cost clinic. And I hear the stories, on the front lines every day from her, or every time I talk to her, not every day. So thank you. That's why I say we have to come together as Americans, not as political parties. The insurance companies and pharmaceutical companies should not be dictating how we do healthcare in this country, along with the big hospitals.
Thanks, Congressman. Up next, we're going to have 5124. Who's left with 5124? And after this question, on deck is going to be 5094.
Missed it by one.
I know, Tom, you're just
I'm 5093.
One number off. Yes, ma'am.
As a young person myself, I know that Planned Parenthood is receiving federal funding, and I don't see those children as just unborn, not alive. I see them as human beings with full rights. Do you support Planned Parenthood or not? And are you doing anything for this? And what are you doing?
Thank you. Thank you for having the courage to come up and talk what's on your mind. My stance on Planned Parenthood, the fight that always comes up on Planned Parenthood is it comes up over abortion. Would you agree? Yeah. That's the fight, right? I don't have a problem with Planned Parenthood. My fight is I don't want taxpayers' money to go to an organization that does abortion. That's my stance. That's what I got elected on, and that's where I stand. And, there's an election in 2 years. You're going to hate me because I said that again. And Tom's gonna run against me as he did last time. He's a great guy. Tom's a great guy. Planned Parenthood does do some good things, but let's look at the numbers. There's less than 700 Planned Parenthoods throughout the country. There's over 13,400 community health clinics that we're already taxing the American people, billions of dollars. Am I over my time?
No, you're good.
Billions of dollars that go into that. My role is, I don't want to shut Planned Parenthood down. I want to take that $500 million, put it into community health clinics that are already doing, I feel, a better job. And it's easier access for people. State of Dakota, North Dakota has one Planned Parenthood. They've got 73 community health clinics. Why would I fund an entity outside of government with your money to do that? So I'm not anti-Planned Parenthood, I'm anti-abortion. Where's that young lady? Thank you for your question.
So who has the right to make
Please no follow-up.
abortion
Ma'am.
not be part of health?
Ma'am, I'm sorry, we can't take questions that aren't in order. I'm sorry, Congressman.
I will have that conversation with you afterwards, and I would love to talk to you about
That would be great.
All right, we have our next question right here, and on deck, we're gonna have 5083.
Hi, thank you for
Howdy.
having this town hall. This is my first time ever.
Is it really?
Anyone in government. And I eagerly
You know
await
what?
your town
You're ahead of
office.
me because I've never been to a town hall before I ran.
Okay. Well, what prompted me and what my concern is just ethics. So my question is that, I believe the American people deserve to know what happened with Russian interference in our elections and Russian violence. I think we deserve to know what our elected leaders are going to do to prevent it from happening again. Will you stand up for American people by supporting an independent investigation? Campaign. What will you do legislatively to address Russian interference?
Thank you, and I appreciate you coming to a town hall meeting. We've done close to 50 since I've been in office, so thanks for being here. To answer your question, will I support an independent investigation on the Russian right now? No. I'm going to let the process work out. If it's warranted, I'll definitely support it 100%. I don't care who's in office. I don't care who's there investigating. Your other question about ethics in government. I'm more concerned about how in the heck did we, the United States of America, get to a point where we've got Russia or any other country hacking into our system with the amount of money we spend. We're the ones that invented the internet. We're the ones that have done the Microsoft, the Apples and all that. We should be the top of the curve, not being hacked in by a third-rate country, is the way I feel. So I'm very aggravated that somebody did that. And I'm aggravated with the people that have taken that information in any government agency and is leaking that information. If you want to be a whistleblower, be a whistleblower the way you want to. Don't do an Edward Snowden, who I think is a traitor. I've read the report. And after the first page of that, what he divulged about our military and our people in military and the information, he has given our playbook to the other side. And people want to applaud this guy as being a patriot. Give him a break. These people need to be held accountable in this country. And the other thing on ethics, I agree 1,000% on that. And that's why the first bill we put into office called the Trust Act, trust restored to the U.S. taxpayer. That's a pretty novel idea. Who served in the military? You did, right, sir? If you had an honorable discharge, how many of your benefits you get? None, right? You don't get anything if you get a dishonorable. If you get an honorable, you get the benefits that were promised to you. Why does that not apply to us? Our bill says that. It's a page-and-a-half bill. It says if you're a member of Congress, get convicted of a felony while serving, you lose that portion of your retirement that comes from the matching funds of the federal retirement program. Jesse Jackson
Wait,
Jr. is going to get.
What was the question?
I forget the number. It's thousands of dollars a month for the rest of his life.
What about Dennis Taxer?
What was that? Yeah.
Aaron Scott.
Politicians do that.
Or Randy Brown, if she gets convicted, neither one of them are convicted yet, but it sure looks pretty bad for them. They're going to get that money.
Like,
If they did a felony, they don't need to get that money. Because they broke the trust of me. And so
too bad they won't allow follow-up, like, hey, could you switch back and answer the first question? Too bad they won't allow that, though.
6 months later, they said there's a problem because there's some people on our party that don't support this. And I had a guy stand up in our conference when I represented this bill, he goes, well, I couldn't support that. If Tom got a felony for a DUI on a weekend, not that Tom would. You're telling me he would lose his retirement? I said, yeah, he goes, I can support that. Like the guy broke the ethics of the people he's serving. He should. Tom would never do that.
All right. We're going to go to our next question. On deck, we'll have
change like the topic, not even the issue. The topic.
51-15 on
Before you go there, Tom's running for political office against me, and this is going to come out in the paper that Tom Wells broke the ethics law. And I'll stand next to you and say he did not. That was me using you as an example. And I'm not felony now. Tom's not a felony now. Yeah.
I can see the headline.
I'm just telling you how the press works. Not that the press that's here would do that.
Hey. Thank you.
Into the next question, I saw a couple people nodding their heads, and I just want to clarify. You guys get those emails, those chains that say, you know, congressmen get $174,000 for life by serving one term. That's not true, and you never get $174,000. Even if you serve 30 years, you would never get $174,000 for life. That is a fallacy. So please do homework. That is not true. The federal employee retirement is the same as every
We weren't talking about this.
Want to put that out there. That's more than a 2-minute and 30-second response that I get.
You pay into a federal retirement program, and I don't know what I'm paying into. And again, I did this at the last time.
Isn't that nice to not even know what you're paying in?
I don't even know what my paycheck is. I know
That's
it's
woohoo!
$14,000, but
I don't even know where all my money goes. Sorry. I'll be good now.
And I know we put some into our retirement, and there's matching funds, what the government does for every federal employee, like Walmart does, like everybody else does. And then when I leave office, I get a retirement that I paid into, and I get to keep the PIN. And the PIN allows me to get on the House floor, and that's pretty much all you get. And in Washington, this will help you maybe get a door open for you or a cup of coffee within about a mile of the Capitol. Outside of that, it's a detriment.
All right,
yeah.
Question.
I was originally going to come up here and ask you about private prisons because I work in the criminal justice system, and I'd still like to have that discussion with you. But I was deeply dissatisfied with your last answer regarding the Russia investigation. We need an independent investigation, and my concern is it seems, and correct me if I'm wrong, sir, but it seems like at least your party, and maybe you specifically, have supported endless investigations into the other party. And you just need to discuss about why.
Woo! That's right.
I object to the left wing of my own party, and I want to pull them further right. Bipartisanship is working with the other party, and I don't see you doing that, sir.
Well, I don't want to take offense. You know, I hear that a lot. I assume you're a Democrat, not that it matters. But I hear that all the time.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Where was the bipartisanship discussions on that? Where were the bipartisan discussions on some of the other stuff when they were in charge that they could have gotten through? You know,
Talk about Russia.
And I'll go back to Russia.
Thank you.
The committees are set up to do their investigations. Let them do it, and they'll get to a point. And we were asked about Devin Nunes. Should he step down? He will step down if he thinks he needs to, and he did. He did.
And he was replaced by someone worse.
Well, let that process work. They have a certain preliminary, and it'll get to a point. But to call for an independent investigation, I don't think, and I'm with my lack of legal knowledge, I guess, as far as the investigation and that part, how that works. I'm going to let them do it, and if they say it needs to go to a special special select committee on that, yeah.
Would you not agree with me that it's the independence?
Sorry, we can't do follow-ups.
Can't do follow-ups. That might actually get them to answer the question.
Pretty much in every agency out there.
Sorry.
Is it chronic?
I'm not doing very well being good.
Chronic subject switching disorder.
You're not concerned about this? No. We are. I think it would be.
All right, so we're going to move on to the next question, and on deck, it's going to be 5111.
Before I go to that, we put in a permanent select committee on the executive branch. We put that in before the election was decided. You know, it was bipartisan. We thought there should be a special select or a permanent select committee on the executive branch. My concern concern was one party, the other side, and I was concerned on both sides, really, to be honest with you. That I want to make sure the executive branch plays the way it should be. So I will support the investigative process when we get to that point, but I don't think we're at that point yet.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next question, and I'm sorry, folks, the back and forth, it just doesn't make anything easier, and it's not productive.
Well,
And
it's
one
very-
time,
it is
I tried to
productive.
make questions hard.
That's a town hall.
Yeah,
It's very productive.
Next
You're doing
question,
great.
ma'am, you are up.
So many questions, there's so many things that would be interesting to talk about. I have somewhat of a background in statistics, so I'd like to say that along with the spending chart, I'd like to see the revenues in conjunction with that. I think it would be a more realistic picture. And I just want to say that I suspect that a large part of the change in the pie has to do with us baby boomers getting older and older.
It does, 10,000 a day.
A lot of that is Social Security money that we have put into, so it's come in. We've also paid into Medicare.
Right.
So it's not, not
That's an interesting perspective.
that are being given out. So I hope that it's not mischaracterized. I'm wondering if you'd consider simplifying, just having a single-payer healthcare system. Let's let the VA, let's let the
Yeah, but to go back to your question on the supply side, the income revenue side, we're about $4.2 trillion. And you can't just cut your way out of it. You've got to grow your way too, so there's a combination of that. Single parent system. I went to our leadership last week. I got called into the principal's office. They want to know if I would support this bill. And I said, does it repeal it 100%? And they gave me kind of a circle answer, and it says it's going to happen in budget 3. Y'all heard about bucket 1, 2, and 3, or ABC. Yeah. So I looked at him and I said, can you tell me that bucket 3 will ever happen? He put his head down, he looked at me, and he goes, bucket 3 will never happen because we don't have the votes in the Senate. So I'm like, well, why do you ask me to lie to my constituents that we 100% repealed this? And to answer your question, where'd you go? There you go. To answer your question, I said, sir, I would feel better to go to my constituents and say, this is so complicated, so entrenched, we can't get rid of it, to go to a single payer or universal health care, and I'm dead set against that. But I'd be happier to come to you to say, you know what, I'm telling you the truth, because we talked about ethics. I'm telling you the truth of what we're going to do, that we can't fix it the other way. And this is something, you guys are here, that this discussion needs to be handled in America. My belief is that the federal government shouldn't provide health insurance for anybody, everybody, any more than they do cars, houses, or any of that. There's a certain amount of responsibility as us, as citizens in the greatest country on the planet. You know, it goes back to John Kennedy. Don't ask what your country can do for you. What can you do for this country? This is happening. Well, and I agree with you, but they're telling me it's going to get cut 25%. You think I'm a little bit worried about that? I'm 62. I want my money. It's my dang money.
And yet you provide.
I said I'd talk to you later if you don't mind. But I appreciate your response. I appreciate your response.
All right, we're going to
response.
Move on to the next question. And on deck, we're going to have 5087.
You're off. Go ahead.
To this lady's concerned about the VA, I use the VA all the time.
No.
Love that place. If you haven't been, love the
I
VA.
am if I get called.
Hey, 2 parts. I happened to have my vacation in Washington, D.C. when the Republicans shut the government down.
You were up in
Thank you very much. I was. I tried to see that.
Why do you say the Republicans shut it down?
Because they were the ones that the House Freedom Caucus.
You guys all read fake news.
Oh, anyway, thank you for reminding me.
Oh, Lord, fake news.
George W. Bush
The
and
Freedom Caucus wasn't in existence then.
well, but you were.
Tea Party.
But you were.
It didn't come up for a vote.
Wait a minute, you were cutting my time.
I'll come back.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to give you all this time. Don't worry. Go ahead.
We just like to spar.
Okay, question. Bill Clinton left us with a surplus in the budget.
He did.
All right, George W. Bush came in and said, I'm going to cut the taxes of the rich and we're going to fire this economy up. The Republicans continue to do that, even in the latest your healthcare proposal. They wanted to cut $300 billion or $1 million from the rich, primarily. And
That was about $1 trillion cut.
Exactly. My question is, we've got to have taxes, and Chaffetz is starting to go after the IRS again. I know. Chaffetz is going after the IRS. We need our accounts receivable people. We need the IRS. We need them to go after people and get the taxes. And I don't agree with that.
Go ahead.
But all I'm saying is, we keep cutting for the rich. The Republicans keep saying, we're going to make this country great. But we're up to this cake category right there. We need revenue. We need the IRS.
That's why I like the fair tax. It gets rid of every loophole that government has ever created in their lives. And it's a consumption tax. And it's closer than you think. And so, what was your question?
That's what I was going to say.
Why do we need the rich? We need the IRS. Chaffetz is going after the IRS again. Louise Lerner was a total mistake. But we need to tax government or tax big businesses and rich people.
Why would always attack rich people? Why?
Oh my God.
To him much is given, much is expected. Who uses government service? Well, should everybody pay in? That's what the fair tax, everybody pays. Huh? Not regressive, it's a fair tax. Everybody pays their fair tax. I can decide how much I want to pay. Again, this is something, hopefully we can come together as a country because everybody wants tax reform. We've got over 72,000 pages, most complicated in the world, driving businesses out of here, along with regulations and other things. Time we change and create a fertile field here so that we invest in America.
Here. I agree. All right. Next question, and on deck we're going to have 59.
Man,
You only three
always
more.
so close. Yeah, but it's not in order. It's random.
It's random. I hope you get called.
Are we going to continually spend for the Mar-a-Lago retreat vacation? And what are we doing about stopping? That's why we have to have David. That's why we have a White House. I'm not interested in 1,000 other things, but that is a big.
Let me ask you this: were you concerned about President Obama going to at his discretion, where he can have meetings?
Tangent turkey.
Every weekend. I know, that's
like, and we're paying for it. It's coming out of our pocket.
And so don't be so dismissive to me and to this audience.
I asked you a very pointed question.
How many compared to this? They are not the same thing. Now, if you want to get down and dirty, what happened to the Senate bill you put in to make it a felony for anybody who takes a pregnant woman out of state or a therapeutic to be a felon? We didn't vote you in for your religious conscience, and we didn't vote you in for everything that you believe. We voted you in to help us run this country.
I don't believe that was
woo! All right.
person of age. I believe that was
Hey,
for a
girl.
minor.
Get it, girl.
You're right.
Got enough
No,
permission
you're
to
right.
get pregnant. She's got enough permission.
What about the woman that gets raped? Does she have permission to get pregnant?
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
Wow, that's disrespectful.
That is the question forever. We did not elect you to be a debater. You are here to listen to us and to take what we say, modify your stance, and move forward.
As far
Mar-Lago, if the president wants to go down there, I have no problems with that.
Would you pay for it?
You turn it around. You don't answer the questions. You don't attack us. You answer the questions. All right, Congressman, you've got 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
I don't think I attacked
Yeah, you did. You turned it around. I know.
She had a concern because I would assume you didn't vote for President Trump. So you don't like what he's doing. I didn't vote for President Obama. I didn't see the need to retreat, in Hawaii as often as he did, place all the places he did, take his whole family to Africa, and thousands and millions.
A little cutie.
So I think we should have a tit for tat here, if you're gonna do it.
All right, folks, so this is not
There'll be another election in 4 years. You're on, ma'am. I'm sorry. Take your time.
Hello, I want to say thank you to the ladies for treating me here today. My name is Yoho Morgan. I teach high school biology, and I also sponsor the environmental club at our high school. And my high school kids are ninth grade. They're around 14 years old, and they totally understand climate change. They understand the whole geochemical cycle dealing with carbon and increased global warming. I mean, it's science, it's basic biochemistry, and they get it. So I really don't understand why adults that are running our nation cannot even understand any basic science that high school kids know. And I really don't understand dismantling the EPA. When I grew up, when this country was filthy, it was filthy.
All right,
and I saw it clean in my lifetime due to the EPA. Do you have a question? What are you going to do?
Oh, yeah.
I remember that era when we were terrible. China's going through it right now. I think government agencies have a role, but not to the point where they stifle innovation, where they stifle, like the waters of the United States. That bill right there would have put everybody's land under the control of the EPA because it says any land that becomes seasonally wet. We live in Florida, we get over 54 inches of rain a year. And so I think they came from agencies that used to fix problems to agencies that tell you what you can't do. And so they need to be reined in. You realize that they keep a lot of the fees and all that? They write rules. They become administrative agencies outside of government control. They can write a rule or regulation, they can implement it, they can put the fine with it, they collect it, they keep it in-house. They're autonomous agencies. They become too powerful. So, yeah, they need to be reeled in. As far as science, I'll imagine topic for topic on science, anything you want to talk about. I understand the carbon cycle, I understand the Krebs cycle, and we can talk about those things. But when you research that and you look at the truth of the climate, it's minuscule in what has changed. You realize Florida's seas were 350 feet further out than they are today, back 9,000 years ago. Now they're in closer, and they're going to go out again. There were trees under the ice caps in Greenland, so explain that.
I asked you to research. Please look up Yoho. She's a climate scientist. She's from Texas. She's great. She has all.
And I would ask you to go to the NASA website when they say 51% of the changes in our climate, the temperature changes that they're claiming, over 51% comes from solar activity. As far as anthropogenic activity, they said we're not sure how much that does have effect, but it does have some. I say that we use the technology, we have the information to have common sense reforms, but not stifle a nation and break the backs of the entrepreneur or the next generation.
Sir, you got about 15 seconds to wrap this one up.
I'm going to stick on the platform I did, and I'm going to stay with that, and we're going to rein in the EPA. Thank you.
All right, so I know that we've been having so much fun. I can't believe that an hour has gone by already, and we are on our last question. So our lucky last question goes to 5130. And while we're waiting for 5130 to come back, if you are a credentialed member of the media, if you would like to interview the congressman at the end of this, I'm going to ask you to go to the very back corner and to the left, and there will be a space back there for you. The congressman will be giving closing remarks following this question, and he'll have about 5 minutes before we have to move on to the back. So I appreciate everyone's time today.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you very much for coming, and I know you're taking a lot of heat.
All right.
My name is Susie, and I'm from northwest Ocala. And there's so many questions, obviously, that we all have. But the one that I haven't heard addressed, and you talked a lot about the importance of ethics, and I think we all agree with you on that. So I'd like to understand why Congress is not pressing the president to release his tax. Congress is the only body that can help. He is running businesses. He has not done the same things he said he would do that all other presidents have done to separate himself. Mitt Romney would have done that. He has not done it. He is still running his companies. This is not right. It's not fair. And if there's nothing there, he should just let us see them.
I appreciate your passion. Thank you. I'm going to take a pause here. Larry, is there a bill on that? This is Larry Calhoun, our chief of staff. Your chief of staff. Do you know if there's a legislation on that? Somebody's put in a bill to ask for the release of that?
Yeah.
Whose was that?
Yes.
Okay. There's HR 305. We've got our office looking at that. I was against this in the beginning. And hear me out on this, please. Because it's not constitutional requirement to show what these things are.
It's ethical.
But then you talked with me, and
that's right. It was
that's right.
This young lady came into our office, and I told her that, didn't I? And she says, "But with his dealings in Russia and all over the world,
And China,
wouldn't it be nice to know that when policies get set, that maybe we should know what the connection is there?" And I says, "You know what? That's a very good point. And because of you, we're probably going to sign on to that. I don't know. But check with us." I think that's probably important. And, yeah, I'm not going to say what you're going to be happy. But I can't tell you how much I appreciate y'all being here. And I know it gets a little heated. This is your office, and I know you feel like you're not getting your voice heard. Trust me, we hear you. We had an Ole up in our office the other day. I really appreciate you coming in there. Very spirited debate or talk. And your mother-in-law, I can see where we get it from. She can hold her own in front of you.
Yes, sir.
But again, understand, when I ran, people said, "Are you a Republican or a Democrat?" My stance then and my stance today is I'm an American. You don't like that.
you talk a good
You may
game.
not like it, but that's the way I feel. And I'm going to tell this story because it seems to hit home real well with all people. When I was running as a veterinarian, I was at my client's house, so I'd done work for her for about 25 years, and we had never talked politics. Now that I entered the race, she felt compelled to tell me what party she was, and she says, "Ted, I can't support you because I'm a very liberal Democrat." Now, I'm not calling her that. She used that title. And I said, "Shelley, I would hope you would support people like me for a season." Because I ran on term limit. And I says, because I'm fighting to preserve our founding principles, which I believe come from our Creator, not from government. Government's instituted by we the people to protect our God-given rights, our core values of life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. And I says, and it's held together by our Constitution. And if we lose those very basic tenets, the foundational principles of this country, our country's over. And I said, and if you don't believe that, go to Cuba, go to China, go to Iran and speak out against their government. And I said, so people on the left will lose their voice of dissension. People like me on the right are going to lose their voice of dissension. And the neat thing about that is after I left, she called me up and said, my husband and I have talked about it. And we're going to tell people we're supporting you as liberal Democrats. Folks, that's what's on the line here. Our ideologies aren't Republican or Democratic. They're American ideologies. And I would hope that we would come together as a nation, not as a political party. You're not going to like the next president, or I won't like him. You're not going to like your next congressman, or you will. And, you know, it's going to go back and forth, and it always has in 240 years. But this is the longest serving constitutional republic, the first experiment in self-governance. Let's not screw it up. And so we have to come together on those principles. It's an honor and a privilege to serve as your representative, and we'll pursue that. She held up a sign that says, "Get us taxes." I thought it had another word instead of taxes. But I appreciate everybody here for taking your time on a Saturday, and look forward to doing this in the future.
Thank you.